Big news update on Mark Stone. Yesterday, Bruce Cassidy mentioned that Mark Stone is skating now. And although he's not skating with the team and he's not doing any contact, the fact that he's able to be skating now at this time and start that rehab process gives me a lot of hope that he may be playing this year. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about Mark Stone, the chance for a return, what Mark Stone's return means for the Vegas Golden Knights, and how likely is it for him to actually return. So let's go and get right into things. And the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the news that we've got. Yes, as I already mentioned, Bruce Cassidy mentioned yesterday that Mark Stone has returned to the ice and has began skating for rehab. Although it's been light and although it doesn't seem to be at full speed, even non-contact wise, it doesn't seem to be full speed, but just some progress is good news, especially with about 2 weeks ago, Bruce Cassidy said that there seemed to be no progress in Mark Stone. This is really, really big news, and we've seen before where it goes from, light rehab, they just got on the ice, to 2 weeks later, they're at full and they're, still no contact. But 2 weeks from now, if we jump 2 weeks and we're in no contact then, and we go another week or two, at that point, we're looking at playoff time. And that's a huge, huge factor for Mark Stone. If you can get the captain of your team back in time for the playoffs, with how well Vegas has been doing, and you haven't had your captain, this could be huge. Now, if we take a look a little bit at some of Mark Stone's stats, I believe he's sitting at 43 games played and 39 or 38 points. 38 points, 43 games played, 17 assists, or 17 goals, 21 assists. Those are some really, really good numbers. Exceptionally good numbers. Slightly below that 1 point per game, which is the standard of high-level, elite-level players. He was doing phenomenal. He has an 11 plus minus, and he's been doing great. 15 shot percentage. And if we compare this to the rest of the Vegas Golden Knights, he's played 43 games as mentioned, and he's still only the 4th, 6th, 8th in points on this team. Only playing a little bit over half of the season. You compare this out to some of these other guys on pretty close to a 1 point per game method. He's jumping all the way to probably at least second, if we're being honest, at the rate that he's been playing at. Only Mark Stone is overperforming him on points per game methodology. Chandler Stevenson has 57 points, and Mark Stone might not be above 57 once things are, average. Well, I guess he would be if we did a full 82. But nonetheless, Mark Stone is the second best player on this Golden Knights team, no matter how you want to look at it. And his return is going to be a massive factor, and not only just for what he brings scoring-wise and assist-wise, but there's a lot of other small things that Mark Stone upgrades. And I kind of want to cover that next. And that's going to be, for one, power play. That's been a huge thing for the Vegas Golden Knights the past couple years, and even this year. They're kind of middle of the pack. I think they're right at 16 for power play. Mark Stone was an integral piece to the power play. You were getting, a lot going when you had Mark Stone. Whether that was for Jack Eichel, whether that was for Mark Stone himself, or whomever it may be, Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, whomever it may be, when Mark Stone was on the ice during the power play, you were going to upgrade your percentage by a pretty wide margin. And I think that if you bring Stone back with this power play that's average, you could pretty quickly get back to top 10. That's how important and how integral Mark Stone is for this team. Along with that, he brings good defense for his position. He plays, very good to great defense at times, and that's a big factor in this too, especially with, some of these games that have happened recently. You're dealing with a lot of goalie injuries. You're going with 3rd and 4th string goalies. Getting some extra defense in the front end would be a huge help for you, and Mark Stone can bring you just that. Maybe he's not going to be the flashiest in blocking shots. Maybe he's not going to be a big-time floor checker. But he can do a little bit of everything, and that's enough for you to get something going. And he's very, very good in transition offense, which is something the Vegas Golden Knights is maybe their best asset in offense. They get a lot of goals quickly, going up ice. They pick it off on defense or however it may be, and they quickly get down and they score a goal. That's something that's been a huge thing for them this year. And Mark Stone helps with that. Maybe he's not the fastest, but he can get you the puck. He can get that puck exactly on your stick, exactly where you need it for a one-timer to get you some extra space from a guy that's tailing you or whatever it may be. Mark Stone upgrades your power play, he upgrades your defense, and he upgrades your scoring ability in the transition by a wide margin. Along with that, he's your captain. And that is a huge thing to have that guy in your locker room officially and playing. That's a big factor. Having your captain in the locker room is one thing, but having them playing is a whole nother thing because you get to feel their energy on the ice and off the ice. You feel their energy, and that's a huge boost to you. And you get to have your captain on the ice. Mark Stone, as we all know, expressive Mark Stone. He's going to bring the energy and the juice when you're doing great, and he is not scared to get up in your face and just say something to get you moving in the right direction, to get the things working in the right direction. And I think him and Bruce Cassidy meshed very well through the first half of the season. I think if you can get Mark Stone back, that's going to be a huge factor in the rest of the season, especially if you can get going towards the playoffs. That's going to be a very good thing if you can get Mark Stone back in the playoffs. Hopefully a little bit before, but at least get him back in the mix of things. Now, of course, today is April 1st. I expect about 2 weeks till he's in, playing with the team. Non-contact, but playing with the team. That's going to put you at like April 13th, 14th. That's putting you right at the back end of the year. Literally the last week of the year. And that's my assumption. But you add another week to that, and I'd say a week after that you're probably practicing with the team, and then you can get you back on the ice if you're in a position that's worth it. Now, a series can go up to 7 games, and you're going every other night, so that's 2 weeks. If the Vegas Golden Knights, you already clinched a playoff spot, if Mark Stone can be to the, no contact phase by the end of this season, which I don't think is too crazy to think about. If you can get him no contact the day after the season ends, April 14th, okay? You give him another week before he's contact with the team, and I think you give him just like a couple practices and he can be playing. So you make it through the first round, 7-game series, 14 days. That gives you about a month from now that Mark Stone will be playing on the ice, a month from now. That puts you at the start of the second round. That's big. That's big time, especially with how, if you make it to the second round, that is a big if. That is something you have to take into account. There's going to be tough competition in that second round. You take a look at this Western Conference, it's stacked. And you don't really know how things are going to play out, where Vegas is going to land 1, 2, 3. You don't know what's really going to happen here. But there's some tough teams, and getting your captain back at the start of the second round is huge. Massive. Almost impossible to show how important that is unless he's on the ice. Mark Stone, for this Vegas Golden Knights team, may be the deciding factor in how far they can go in the playoffs. Mark Stone may be the reason this team becomes a true contender in a lot of people's eyes, because a lot of people are overlooking the Vegas Golden Knights. Mark Stone may be the reason that we get to see the Vegas Golden Knights in the Western Conference Finals, in the actual Stanley Cup Finals. That's how important Mark Stone is for this team. I think the only person more important to this team is Logan Thompson, or whomever is in net, just because how much they influence the game. Even Jack Eichel, who has been having a very good year, 60 points, 62 games, has been having a great year, if we're being honest, and has been what the Vegas Golden Knights wanted when they made that trade. I think Mark Stone is still more important than Jack Eichel is to this team. That's what we've been missing for almost half the year. 43 games played. And he's probably not going to return until the very last couple games, if things go faster than I expect, I should say, or into the playoffs. That means Mark Stone plays 2 more games than half. I wonder how big of a factor he could have had if he did play. How many more games would you have won? How soon, or how much sooner, would the Vegas Golden Knights have clinched? But at the same time, maybe those trade deadline moves don't happen because you have the contract of Mark Stone off the books for that timeline, and then you move to the playoffs. You don't have to worry about the cap space so much, which is going to be huge. You get Barbashev on this team. You get Teddy Bluger on this team. Those guys, I think, have made a pretty big impact. Jonathan Quick as well. Made some pretty big impacts. And you probably couldn't have done that with Mark Stone. Or you would have had to move another bigger name along with him. You make the playoffs, you don't have to worry about that as much. So Mark Stone's return, I think, and there's a lot of I thinks in this video, should be and could be the biggest factor in the distance the Vegas Golden Knights can go in this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. But what do you guys think? How important is Mark Stone to this team? And am I over-exaggerating how important he is? Or do you think he is the key to this team's success this year? Comment all that down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys. If you enjoyed this content, please like. And if you want to see more content like this, especially with the playoffs coming up very, very soon, we're going to be covering a whole lot of Vegas Golden Knights content and NHL content. If you want to see more videos like this, why not subscribe? It truly means the world to me. But as always, I hope you taught something today. Hope made smile. Hope you left something really important to me. Affect smiles day in a great way because every single day can be a great day if we always put in the effort. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.